So now I did want to mention some things to watch out for. These are things that I noticed, and I'm not going to get into the weeds about economies and how they work and all that. This is just kind of common sense things that I haven't seen, I think, enough people talk about on these types of videos. And that's the illusion that because you can find something now, you're going to find it in a week or a month from now. Specifically, I'm talking about food. There's been a lot of plants that process food, that make the food, that have closed. And there's been a lot of people who transport, right, companies and people who transport the food to you that have closed up shop or lost their job. So what that means is just because you see something now, don't assume that there's more behind it. There's a supply that gets stored in warehouses, and then it gets sent out as the stores call for it. Well, there may not be more filling up that warehouse to go back out the next time. So the basics, things like, I'm sure you've all heard about the animals being slaughtered, not for food, just slaughtered. Things like milk being dumped out. So your basics, your bread, your meat, your flour, yeast, butter, those things you should have a little bit of stock, a little bit of backup on. You can freeze all that stuff. If you have a freezer, good. Freeze a couple of each, rotate it, make sure it's fresh. Learn how to make bread. I just had a sandwich before this video using homemade bread. It's absolutely delicious. I recommend it. Maybe I'll make a video on that like I did for the coffee. Just make sure you have yeast, because yeast is a little bit hard to find. But take the time now to learn these basics, like making bread, which is super basic. All you need is for sandwich bread, just get a loaf pan or like $3 or $4. Doesn't need to be fancy. And just practice a couple times. Look up different videos. It's really, really simple. And a tip that I learned is you can buy a 25-pound bag of flour for about the same price as 2 5-pound bags of flour, at least in my area. It is so much cheaper to buy the big bag than it is to buy the small bag. So if you have the room for it and you plan on moving towards making your own baked goods, not just bread, but you can make a lot of things, just get the big bag. You can always put it into smaller containers. You can freeze part of it. I don't know if you can freeze a whole 25-pound bag. That would take a lot of space, but you can divvy it up. You can put it into smaller containers, freeze those. Just make sure you have some kind of food. You really don't want to be going hungry. That sucks. Take this time now to get a second job, some sort of gig. You don't have to pick one. You can apply to all of them. You can get on in the system for Uber, Lyft, Shipt, Instacart, Favor, whatever. Just have them all at your disposal. Because if you have lost your job, or you think you might lose your job, you want to be able to hit the road running and get up and start making some money. Even if it's not what you were making, if it's enough to pay the rent or pay the mortgage, keep your car, the basics, you have your food, hopefully, and that will at least let you keep a roof over your head and be able to have transportation. And lastly, I wanted to open this up for discussion, and that's the idea of credit. So credit in this market, as of right now, there's some really good opportunities, but there's also a lot of problems. So if you have credit, realize that in times like this, credit card companies tend to either lower limits or shut down your card completely or raise your rates. And you don't want to be stuck in a situation where you can't get out of the credit debt that you're in. But at the same time, there's also a lot of good opportunities if there's something you truly, truly need. So cars, for example, used cars are expected to go down something like 15%, which is more than they did in the last 2008 crash. So there's going to be a lot of really good opportunities for used cars. I know there's some new car places that are actually, and this was a month, maybe even 2 months ago, they were already doing this. 0% interest on a vehicle, on a new vehicle. 0% interest, which is wild. I mean, it's crazy. So if you absolutely had to have a car, you were going to buy one no matter what, anyways, this might be a good time to either now or wait a little bit to get some good deals on it. At the same time, watch out for that revolving credit debt. So things like credit cards, those may come back to bite you, which is why I'm really going to focus on paying mine off. Is I just don't want it there. I don't want it bothering me. But the discussion I want to ask you guys is, if you had a choice between paying off, let's say, credit card debt or saving up that cash, what would you do right now? Not in general, but right now. Is having the cash more important to you, or do you feel confident enough with states already starting to reopen that your job is still there and it still looks like it's going to be there? Are you that confident that you would go ahead and say, you know what, I'm just going to pay this debt off. I'm going to go back to kind of my former standards, that we all try to live by, the kind of FIRE life, right? Being debt free is a big part of that. So are you going to continue that, or are you going to say, no, this is a special circumstance. I really need to save up the cash in case I can pay it off later. I'll have the cash there. If things improve, the cash is there. I'll just go ahead and pay it off. What would you do, and what are you doing in this situation? And that's it. I do have a couple more videos planned. I'm not sure when I get to make them. Just because I feel like people made the effort to subscribe to me, and I really appreciate that. And I think you deserve to know what happened. So basically, every time I would try to make a video, I would see some other YouTube purge, and I really started wondering if I really wanted to put in the effort to try to build this channel, and then just to have YouTube say, we don't want like this kind of content, so we're going to delete your channel because we, just because we feel like it. And then things would settle down. I'd say, okay, it looks okay, I'm going to start making a video, and then there'd be another round of purges, and I just kind of got sick of it. I didn't want to waste my time putting all this effort into a channel that was just going to get wiped away by YouTube because they just felt like it one day. And I had all these ideas floating around my head, and in my personal life, I would, tell it to people, and I guess they found it helpful. I thought, well, I have a YouTube channel. Why not use it, right? If they blow it away, if they delete it, fine. I'll try to keep making stuff that I think is useful. Hopefully, you guys get some use out of it. And if they get rid of it, well, they get rid of it. So I will hopefully see you guys soon, maybe in the next few days, with another video. Thanks.